It's a matter for the Commission to determine what they feel is a fine that will impact the behaviour of the company. £5 million is a lot of money for any company, including William Hill's. But this is a company with many millions of customers, and the fact there were 10 failures is still a disappointment, but needs to be put into that context that these companies are now faced with multiple regulations from very many different directions. The regulatory methods can be quite complex and deep, and what happened here is there was a backlog of cases and insufficient staff with insufficient experience to review them. And I will put it this simply, misjudgments were made that must not be repeated.
Given that these transactions were made online and that William Hill's online office is in Gibraltar, how come the fine comes from the UK and not from your office?
Well, the principle that's emerged in the last 7 or 8 years is that each individual member state in Europe takes primary responsibility for its own consumers where it issues licences. That was the deal that viewers may recall that 3 or 4 years ago, I'd say against our advice, the UK decided it wanted to directly regulate Hills with regard to UK customers, and we will be, I sometimes say, in the background or the umbrella regulator, but Hills takes primacy. Hills deals with the local police forces in the UK much easier than we can, so it's not for us to actually pull these cases away from the UK, rather to look at the balance of failure, how much took place under GIB regulations, how much took place under UK regulations, and together provide advice to Hills. And as recently as yesterday, Hills were in this room and being given our view on what they've changed and how they have improved, but also reminded in no uncertain terms but that there can't be a repetition like this.
So are you satisfied that Gibraltar's regulations are robust enough to protect against cases like this?
If the regulations are applied properly, I say by properly qualified and experienced staff, the regulations will work. They require engagement with the customer, questions to be asked, documents to be provided. Again, I'm not going to defend what's happened here, but I do know one case. The customer submitted forged documents. This is a customer who's been misleading his family, misleading his friends, misleading his employer for 8 years. He also misled Hills. Now, Hills are paying back the money that this chap had stolen from his employer. So ultimately there's no gain for Hills in it, but the regulations work if they are applied properly.
Nevertheless, there must be lessons to be learned here in Gibraltar.
The principle is quite simple and all the operators know it. It's known as KYC, Know Your Customer.